At a time when stress levels are soaring, rates of depression are increasing and the gap between rich and poor is ever widening. We believe that giving can play a positive role in helping people to feel connected to those around them and generate a sense of purpose and hope. When we give, we feel valued, useful and happy. First discovered in 2007, fast radio bursts continue to defy explanation. These cosmic chirps last for 1,000th of a second. The characteristics of the radio pulses suggested that they came from galaxies billions of light years away. However, new works points to a much closer origin, flaring stars within our own galaxy. the climate for doing business improved in Egypt more than in any other country last year, according to a global study that revealed a wave of company-oriented reforms across the Middle East. The World Bank rankings, which look at business regulations, also showed that the pace of business reforms in Eastern Europe was overtaking East Asia. Domestication is an evolutionary, rather than a political development. They were more likely to survive and prosper in an alliance with humans than on their own. Humans provided the animals with food and protection, in exchange for which the animals provided the humans their milk and eggs and, yes, their flesh. A scientist's evidence is thought to be reliable because it will have been tested and verified at every stage. This is not, of course, infallible, as scientists are subject to human error as much as the rest of us. By this time, however, paleontological momentum had moved to England. In 1812, at Lyme Regis on the Dorset coast, an extraordinary child named Mary Anning, aged 11, 12 or 13, depending on whose account you read, found a strange fossilized sea monster, 17 feet long and now known as the ichthyosaurus, embedded in the steep and dangerous cliffs along the English Channel. Permafrost is ground that is frozen year-round. In the Arctic, ice-rich permafrost soils can be up to 260 feet thick. Due to human-caused warming of the atmosphere from greenhouse gas emissions, a steady thawing of the permafrost is currently taking place where the upper layer of seasonally thawed soil is gradually getting thicker and reaching deeper into the ground. Hundreds of millions of American people eat fast food every day without giving it too much thought, unaware of the subtle and not so subtle ramifications of their purchases. They just grab their tray off the counter, find a table, take a seat, unwrap the paper, and dig in. The whole experience is transitory and soon forgotten. 10. Before the time of Alexander the Great, the only Eastern people who could be compared with the Greeks in the fields of science and philosophy were from the Indian subcontinent. However, because so little is known about Indian chronology, it is difficult to tell how much of their science was original and how much was the result of Greek influence.
In the distribution of wealth, America is more unequal than most European countries. The richest tenth of the population earns nearly 6 times more than the poorest tenth. In Germany and France, the ratio is just over 3 to 1. The United States also has the largest proportion of its people in long-term poverty. Despite many similarities with literary political debate in other nations, there are also ways in which the cultural and political situation in Scotland has left a study of Scottish literature in a significantly different condition from that of a literary studies in many other parts of the world. In 1861, Matthew Brady, a well-known portrait photographer, approached President Lincoln requesting permission to move freely about the country photographing the Civil War. Lincoln granted him permission to travel anywhere with the Union armies, and his record of this conflict brought home to millions the horrors of war. Expression became important during the Romantic movement, with artwork expressing a definite feeling, as in the sublime or dramatic. Audience response was important, for the artwork was intended to evoke an emotional response. This definition holds true today as artists look to connect with and evoke responses from their viewers. Engineering is a field that involves using scientific and mathematical principles to design and create useful things. Engineers use their creativity and problem-solving skills to find solutions to real-world problems. They work in various areas like building bridges, designing technology, and improving infrastructure to make our lives better. Line engraving on metal, which, to a great extent, was a development of the goldsmith's craft of ornamenting armor and precious metals, did not emerge as a printmaking technique until well into the 151st century. Copper, the metal mainly used for engraving, was expensive, and engraving itself was laborious and took a long time. The committee would also like to express its gratitude to the independent assessors who joined the committee for consideration of each case. Their expertise and advice play a vital role in our work. A list of independent assessors who attended meetings during this reporting year is included at Appendix D. The situation is similar to a pregnant woman that has twin babies in her belly. Avi Loeb of the Harvard-Smithsonian Center for Astrophysics. He's proposing the idea in a paper that's been accepted for publication in the Astrophysical Journal Letters. Eating a handful of almonds a day significantly increases the production of butyrate, a short-chain fatty acid that promotes gut health. Whole almond eaters had an additional 1.5 bowel movements per week compared to the other groups. Eating almonds could also benefit those with constipation.
Audio Jungle.